When the Injustice comic book ended, DC needed to do something to keep your interest in Injustice and allow themselves to make Injustice 2. Well, what they did was tell the story of Injustice Ground Zero, which told the video game's storyline in a comic book format from the point of view of mostly Harley Quinn, since we didn't get much of her in the actual Injustice video game. Well, this is all of our videos for Injustice Ground Zero rolled up into one, so you get the actual storyline of Injustice from a different point of view, and then you have everything from our original video to this video to allow you to go to Injustice 2.
Harley Quinn is riding down the streets on a motorcycle thinking to herself, now it's over. Now that Batman is preparing to bring in another Justice League to fight Superman, the war is won. It's time to say goodbye. There's no more laughter, not even a giggle. The whole world has forgotten how to smile, and so has she. She thinks about the whole thing. It's been a weird bunch of years since the world got turned upside down. She tried her best to deal with the grief, even tried to make new friends. But it seems like everyone that she got close to either died or vanished, or turned out to be a big old dummy on the wrong side. She made a lot of friends, but she practically lost them all. If that ain't a sign, she doesn't know what is. Face it, Harley, it's over. You had a long run. It was sometimes fun and sometimes it sucked eggs, but it was interesting. You tried to scrape out every ounce of pudding from that cup of life. She parks, and she walks over to the now abandoned Arkham Asylum, because from now on, Harley Quinn is done. She walks into her old office, where she remembers how everything started, the day that she first met her, Puddin'. She walks to the sink and turns the water on and begins to wash her hair dye out. She then drops her outfit to the ground and puts on a sensible shirt and pants, and her lab coat. Goodbye, Harley. Welcome back, Dr. Quinzel. She smiles as she grabs her bag and begins to walk out of the asylum. This is right, she thinks. No more fighting, no more stabbing, or insurging. From now on, it's just her and her head-shrinking career. And then she struck on the back of her head. She wakes up to a Joker face staring her down, asking, "Who are you?" And then she looks around to see a lot of Jokers. "You're all puddins! Am I in heaven?" One holds a shotgun to her face, telling her, "No, but you got 2 seconds to tell us what you're doing here, or we'll gladly send you there." Harley sees them all wearing Joker outfits and gear and asks them, "Who the hell do you think you are?" "We're the Joker clan, and we need to know what you're doing here. Who sent you?" "Nobody sent me. I used to work here. And I would like to know, are you all crazy? Who said that you could go around wearing my Puddin's face and using his name? Do you know what Super Jerk does to people who take his name? Are you trying to get yourselves killed?" The biggest guy slaps her down, asking what she's doing here again. She looks up. "That's the last time that one of you hits me. I'm Dr. Harleen Quinzel, and I used to work here. I also used to be partners with Mr. J, so that makes me an authority on him. The Joker only had one partner, and you ain't her." "Yes, I am. Or was. Then you're not her." Harley gets up, grabbing the crowbar off of one of the thugs and smacks him with it. "Don't yell at me." She drops her lab coat and begins fighting it out with one of the biggest guys in the group. Regardless of the grin painted on his mask, the guy isn't smiling as she beats the hell out of him and leaves him on the ground. The whole clan starts to look at each other, wondering if what she's saying is true. Can she be Harley Quinn? She screams out, frustrated, "Look, I don't care if you believe me or not. I'm Harley Quinn, and I just knocked the snot out of your leader, which makes me leader. So who wants to go next?" But the big guy sits back up. Wait, we believe you. We heard Harley was working with Batman, and that's what inspired us." Harley stops. "Me? I inspired you?" "We're here for Harley's war. Your war." "Okay, well, before I decide to join your little group, I have to go check with someone. Hold that thought, I'll be right back." Harley then smiles as she runs out of the building and all the way back to the Insurgency's base. She explains the whole situation to Batgirl, Batwoman, and Batman tells her that he can't give her his blessing for something like that. To which Harley decides that that is officially a maybe and suits back up, because she has the Joker gang to lead. Our story begins with Harley walking through the park thinking about all of this, everything that's happened. You see, this all began with an idea from the Joker. He wanted to ruin Big Blue and basically annoy him with his usual Joker antics. But he took it too far this time. He stole a submarine that Harley named Gunter, and then she went and stole some kryptonite for him. He mixed the kryptonite in with some fear toxin and then kidnapped and placed a bomb into Lois Lane's chest, one that was linked to a nuclear bomb. Superman tore into the submarine and was hit with the fear toxin, and that's when things got bad. He saw Doomsday, and he brought Doomsday up into space, punching him over and over. But what he was really fighting was Lois Lane, his wife. The nuke linked to her heartbeat within Metropolis exploded, and in one fell swoop, Superman lost everything: his wife, his city, his friends, and his unborn child. Something within him snapped because of this, and he decided to end all of this by ending the Joker. After killing him, he decided that there would be no more war, crime, violence, or death, and he was going to personally put an end to it. Batman stood against him, and a war between the heroes started. The regime versus the insurgency. And Harley, she got roped into the whole thing. She made some new friends and fought alongside them, Green Arrow and Black Canary, but Superman murdered them as well. So Harley knew that it was time to make a decision, and she sided with Batman. She popped the strength-granting green pills and fought alongside the insurgency, watching as things got even worse. Superman broke Batman's back, destroyed the Green Lanterns, got Trigon involved, and even fought against the gods. Eventually, Batman decided to use his super weapon against Superman, but it would need the Justice League to unlock it, and most of them were in the regime now. So he decided the only answer was to pull a different Justice League from an alternate universe over to this universe. So while Batman was working on that plan, he sent Harley Quinn off on a separate mission to take her followers of Joker and bring them to a factory producing the green pills that granted strength. The regime didn't stand a chance. No one in Harley's group cared about their own well-being. They took out the gate and they ran in shooting out the cameras, and then they used fire extinguishers to see the tripwires. Everything was easy until Man-Bat arrived. He swooped in grabbing one of the goons and he threw him into the other three, so Harley jumped into the air, landing on his back, covering up his eyes. Man-Bat flapped his wings and he launched himself into the sky, dragging Miss Quinn with him, and then he chucked her back down to the ground and into her own squad. So she pulled out one of the last green pills that she had on her, breaks it in half, and pops half of it. With the additional strength, she jumps back up at Man-Bat. Tell me, Batsy, why did you pick the regime? Batman makes more sense for your branding alone. They go back and forth until Harley grabs a lighter, igniting his pants, and then slaps his ears, landing with a smile. With him unconscious, she walks over to the vault where the pills are, and her goons have strung up the security guard. But he refuses to give her the code, so she throws some poisonous lipstick on and swings him away from her since he was strung up. As he swings back in, she puckers up and he breaks down. I don't know the combination, he shouts, but Harley explains that she didn't really want it. She just wanted to cause him to cry. She walks over, cracks the safe, and throws a bomb into it, happy with herself because Batman trusted her and she didn't kill a bunch of people. She was there to blow up the facility, and she accomplished the job as a distraction to keep Superman away from Batman while he did his thing. And as she pulls up to a bar called Deadshots, she tells her new friends that drinks are on her. Because Injustice Ground Zeroes is all about Harley and her friends trying to make the world a better place. They walk inside the bar, and Harley bought a round for all of her new friends, and then she asked them to take off their masks so that they can get to know each other better. Because these are her henchmen, her babies. And they are now all named Gary, Larry, Perry, and Terry. And that's when the news comes on and informs them that a peaceful protest has turned violent because of the regime's police. She stands up and informs her henchmen, to the Harley-mobile! Meanwhile, the heroes from the Still Good universe are watching over the bar, and they see Harley and her henchmen walk out. One of the henchmen turns to her and informs her that there's a Green Arrow impersonator on the rooftop, but Harley knows who that really is. She knows that he's from another universe, because that means that Batman's plan worked. While she knows that this isn't her old friend Ollie, she's happy to see him alive. On the rooftop, Hal turns to Green Arrow and tells him that it looks like they're in Gotham. Well, sort of Gotham, and the group begins to try and figure out where they need to go next, because they don't know that they were transported to another Earth yet, and if you want to follow that story, go check out the game's storyline on Eligible Monster. Harley and her henchmen all pile onto motorcycles that they borrowed, and they ride off to this protest turned bad. What they see when they arrive is Sinestro blowing up the protesters, and Harley considers this a team-building exercise as she takes the last of her green pill that she broke in half, tears the doors off of 2 cars, and she jumps in ready to fight. Except, as she gets ready to duke it out, the Wonder Woman from the Good universe hits Sinestro, and Green Arrow opens fire on him. So Harley turns to the riders and begins to run towards them. Look! Across the battlefield! It's a bunny! It's a small French car! It's Harley Quinn, suckers! As she smacks them riders with the car doors. She then jumps in the path of the regime's soldiers, opening fire on the peaceful protesters, blocking the bullets with the doors as she decides that she needs a new catch line. Everything is going swimmingly until Gary takes a shotgun blast to the chest. She has already lost a lot of her new friends, but this time she has the strength to get her revenge. She runs in ready to fight, remembering a knee slapper for you. Why was the clown sad? Because she broke her funny bone. Then she took out the splintered bone and beat the guy responsible with it. Later, as she cleaned the blood out of the treads of her boots, she stopped and thought about that funny bone, and she remembered all the good times that they had, how she vowed to protect it and failed. And the whole time she thinks about this, she's tearing that soldier apart. No matter how many people died to avenge it, that funny bone is still gone. Hey, you're not laughing. Have you heard this one before? And with that, she shocks the soldier with her joy buzzer. She looks up to see the superheroes fighting it out like they always do and begins to think to herself, maybe joining the insurgency isn't just a phase anymore. She's seen enough good people die, and maybe, just maybe, Harley Quinn's a good guy now. Larry walks over to let her know something, but she ignores him and begins to walk towards the superhero fight until Larry shouts out, "Boss, Gary's not dead!" So she decides to get Larry to the car and load up Gary because they need to save him. Before she can get Gary to the hospital though, she tells all of the civilians there that they need to come with her if they want to live, because this superhero fight is about to get a lot more intense. And up in the sky, good guy Hal Jordan is fighting it out with Sinestro. He throws a bus, so Sinestro throws missiles at him. A battle cruiser is met with a ball and chain. And eventually, Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan from this timeline arrives. But that's a fight from the video game. Harley Quinn and her henchmen get Gary to the hospital, where the doctors patch up Gary and Harley holds his hand, crying her eyes out. "You're gonna live, Gary!" "Kurt." "What's that, Gary?" "Speak to me, Gary." "My name is Kurt." "Seriously? Nothing rhymes with Kurt. Come on, you're obviously a Gary." The doctor comes in and another of her henchmen arrives to tell her that she won't believe what he's found. They run across the rooftops, making their way to an alley where they see Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan and Hawkgirl standing over a beaten Batman. The Batman from the good universe. Harley decides that he'll hate her for it, but she's gonna go in and save Batman. And then she looks over the sign again, and something stops her heart. The Joker from that alternate universe. Last time, Harley had found the Joker game and decided to lead them, until she saw the regime capture a Batman from an alternate universe, and then she saw the Joker of that alternate universe. She didn't waste any time. The Joker of her universe was killed by Superman punching a hole in his chest. He was definitely dead, even in a world where people don't stay dead. So she brought out her shotgun and put it to the Joker's face, asking him, "Who are you?" "Because I just see a creep dressed up like the Joker." He puts his hands up, telling her, "It's me! It's the Joker! It even says so on my underwear!" She leaps at him, telling him, "No one pretends to be Mr. J." She punches and kicks and chokes him, only to get stabbed by him and kicked back. She grits her teeth, telling herself, "He can't be who I think he is. That hurt worse than the stab wound." And she takes to the air with her mallet, smashing it into his chest. As Harley gets in close, he headbutts her. And that's the moment that she realizes who it really is. The way he moves and acts. He has to be Mr. J. And just like that, she's back on his side. It's her pudding. No matter what she's done or what's happened in the last 5 years, he's Mr. J. Harley takes him to the base of the Joker gang, the men and women who decided to follow Harley's example, and they dress like the Joker. And it's there that the Joker takes the center stage, seeing that he now has an entire audience looking up to him, and he tells them that they need to think bigger. While Harley gets wide-eyed and full of hope, her little close-knit group sees the problems right away. They realize that this can't be good because they don't get it. With how badly she said that he treated everyone, including her, why is Harley going back to him? Her gang then realizes what's going on. They need to stop the Joker. They can't let him take one of those strength-granting green pills that gives near invincibility. So they grab their guns and they take aim, only to have the wall behind him explode. And there in the rubble stands the regime. The battle begins with Joker grabbing a gun and opening fire on the regime's soldiers, and Hawkgirl flying right for him, grabbing him by the throat and lifting him off the ground. Harley's guys ask her if she's okay, because she's acting weird, and she tells them, of course she is! She has her Joker back and a gun! She opens fire on Hawkgirl, hoping to save the Joker, and Larry grabs her by the shoulders, telling her, to hell with the Joker! Let's get out of here now! You're the boss now, Harley, not him! She reminds them that they came to follow the Joker's example, and they tell her that that wasn't until they met her. She tries to tell them that they're sweet, but they got Mr. J back! And they grab her, hoping to drag her out and make her see some sense. She headbutts one of them and kicks the other in the face, and then she jumps over, knocking Damian Wayne down, and the Joker gang all jumps on him in a pig pile. But while they're dealing with Damian, Joker beats up Hawkgirl and approaches him. Except that's the moment that this universe's Batman and the other universe's Green Arrow and Wonder Woman arrive for a fight that comes straight out of the video game. Hawkgirl and Damian take off, realizing that they're now outnumbered. And with them gone, it leaves Harley to explain to her Batman why she brought the Joker here. Before they can get to that, Joker explains to this universe's Batman that his version got kidnapped by that evil Superman. Watching Joker get beat down by Batman, Harley starts to realize what was actually happening. She's falling right back into her bad habits, and her habits are the worst kind. So she walks off sadly with her new friends. She takes a seat at a bar, sad because she was doing so well. She saved the day multiple times, and then with one slip up, she's grounded by Batman. All of these rules are just infuriating. Being a good guy just pisses Harley off sometimes. Larry comes over to tell her that more and more of their guys are getting beat up, and if they can't get more of those green pills, it's going to get worse. So Harley takes a moment to apologize to him, telling him that she lost her mind a little while back there. And he tells her with a grin that is always plastered onto his mask that it's fine. The Joker's gone again, and she's back to normal. So he goes back to the issue. Does Harley know anyone with powers that they could use to replace their fallen comrades? Build up Harley's gang. And Harley begins to think about things and realizes that Larry's a genius. She knows a ton of cool villains, except everyone went into hiding or they joined the regime. Villains really weren't crazy about the idea of getting on a murdering Superman's bad side. So Harley came up with a new idea. She's back to normal. She wants to be a good guy. So it's off to the police station to find a problem that she can solve. But when she gets there, the police sadly inform her that all of the villains have pretty much stopped doing anything. And even Batman stopped checking in with them when Gordon died. Things are boring now with Superman threatening death. But they do have one thing. Croc went missing into the sewers and maybe Harley can find him. So as she walks off, the head officer on duty tells her, "Have fun storming the sewers!" She takes the inner circle of the Joker gang into the sewers where they follow the claw marks to where she finds all of the missing villains and bad guys. They're all locked up in cells guarded by people in robes that have lizard head masks. So Harley and her gang leap in. Croc gang versus Joker gang. She calls out, "Seriously, Waylon? Stealing my gang idea? At least the Joker gang looks cool." As they beat all the lizard people down and get ready to free everyone from their cells, the doors swing open and there stands Croc and Bane. Croc tries to be nice, telling Harley that she can still leave, and she replies by elbowing him in the face, breaking his teeth. He smashes her back and he picks her up for a nice bear hug before she kicks him off of her, and then he charges at her as she leaps over him, using his head as a springboard, and then she shoves him into a pipe. Meanwhile, her gang members are trying to fight Bane and failing horribly. Bane eventually picks up one by his head and begins crushing his mask until the rest of the gang leaps in on his back, calling out, "Like we planned!" Meanwhile, Harley is jumping on Croc's chest, shouting, "Die, die, die!" And after she knocks him out, she breaks more of his teeth. Then she sees Bane throwing her friends around like playthings. So she has a new idea, and she opens up the cell doors, freeing the thugs of Gotham, along with Katana and Mr. Freeze. She taps Bane in the back, telling him that she brought more friends, and everyone goes to beat him down. Even Bane can't take on that many enemies. Eventually, Bane and Croc are defeated, and Harley locks them up in their own cells. And now, she has her expanded little resistance group of her own. You see, after our last battle in which Harley increased the size of her team, she decided to once again call up the insurgency's headquarters to see where Batman is so that she can hopefully help. At this point in the story in the game, Batman has assembled the alternate universe Justice League, and he was leading them to the old destroyed Wayne Manor to have them help him operate his secret weapon against Superman. But when Harley got a hold of Batgirl was busy playing Mortal Kombat, and she told Harley to just relax and not move. Batman has this whole thing under control. Harley heard that, but decided it was wrong. Batman must want her to take initiative. So she has an idea. She's going to retrieve his trusty Batmobile. She took her gang with her after renaming them from Larry Perry Terry to Larry Jerry Barry. They insisted that those weren't their real names, but she told Jerry that he can go back inside if he wants to talk back to her. When they arrived at Wayne Manor, she saw a giant shield and Shazam guarding it while playing on his phone. Harley had an idea, so she took her hammer, she slid down the hill, and she went to go meet Shazzy. If you had forgotten, Harley has taken quite a shine to Shazam, and way earlier in the Injustice tale, she tried to convince him to leave the regime with her. As she walked out in front of him, dropping a green pill out of her boots, she calls out to him while taking the pill. The very same green pills that were invented to give regular people super strength and durability. Shazam hovers down, warning her to leave. With Superman's temper, she won't survive. And Harley jumps at him, asking what his safe word is. She hits him with the full force of a crazy woman holding a hammer and throws him into the shield. As he falls back down, she smacks a board that he was landing on, launching him into the sky. But come on, this is Shazam, and he uses the force of the gods to land in front of her, telling her to stop this. Aw, don't be like that, Shazzy Poo. He throws lightning at her and gives her a quick shock. Do it again, Shazoo. He tries to charge at her, but using the acrobatics of an insane clown gang member, she backflips over him and returns the favor, swinging her hammer down. He catches it swiftly as she calls him Shazarino. He then throws the hammer into the air, asking if she wants to die. She starts punching him in the stomach, quick, telling him, "You should be nice, Shazlerman." And Shazam grabs her by the throat, lifting her into the sky, telling her, "Shut up!" He looks her in the eyes as she tells him, "Shaz, I can't quit you." "Damn it, my name is Shazam!" he shouts as he's getting licked, except that's how Shazam's powers work, and he turns back into Billy Batson. Harley smiles as Billy panics, and she catches him out of midair, landing safely since she has the green pills to aid her in her landing. With a swift puff of a knockout gas, she puts him to sleep, and she walks over to the shield with Larry, Jerry, and Barry and says the magic words! Shockingly, the shield vanishes, but it actually had nothing to do with Harley, because at that exact moment, Green Arrow was breaking it for Batman so that they can get in. Talk about a convenient plot device. And with that, Harley and her gang, with Billy as prisoner, enter the manor. And just as Batman and the good Justice League begin to enter the manor themselves on the top floor, and they would have gotten to the cave before Harley and her crew, except they ran into a slight problem. A problem going by the name of Killer Frost and Solomon Grundy, and a battle begins on the top floor. While this is happening, Harley and her gang break into a portion of the cave, but even with a map, it's kind of hard to find a single super cave. Luckily, she has some time as Green Arrow fires his explosive arrows into Grundy, and he begins to jump on him, following up with more arrows. Wonder Woman runs into a slight problem as Killer Frost freezes up the room, halting the progress of the mighty Amazon. But while this is happening, Injustice, Batman, and Aquaman are trying to restore power to the cave's entrance. Beneath all of this, Harley and her crew enter the Batcave, where they see it destroyed from the last battle that it had. And they also see the Batmobile sans a couple of tires. It should have been an easy fix and a drive-off until a baton hits the ground, and Harley looks up to see Damian Wayne. Her crew tells her to watch out, Nightwing has arrived, but Harley quickly informs them that that is actually Damian Wayne in Nightwing's outfit after he accidentally killed the Nightwing and his father disowned him. So don't worry, they've already kicked his butt back with Bird Girl. As Damian runs in, kicking one of the gang members in the chest, throwing him down, Harley orders her gang to tackle him while she gets to work in the car. But Damian begins to twirl his baton like a man with years of experience, beating down the rather inexperienced members of Harley's gang. Seeing that she needs to take it upon herself, she leaps in, ducking underneath the baton, kicking him in the head, and following it up with an elbow and an uppercut to drop him to the ground. As Harley goes in for the kill shot, her gang tells her to stop, he's down. Harley bites her lip, remembering that she's a good guy now. Good guys don't kill. And she takes Billy with her as she drives off, leaving the gang behind. She races into the streets of Gotham until there's a crack, and Black Adam lands on the Batmobile, surprised that he didn't just find Batman. With a simple flick of his finger, he knocks Harley away as she pops another green pill and returns the favor. Except Black Adam isn't playing nice, and he grabs her foot, slamming her into the ground. She gives him a swift kick to the groin, only to discover that other parts of him are made out of steel, and he stomps her on the head. Meanwhile, back at Wayne Manor, our heroes have defeated the regime members that they were fighting with the help of the Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman informs him that her losing to Killer Frost does not leave this dimension. They walk into the Batcave, where Batman notices a fight happened recently, and Damian is already making his exit. Back street side, Harley's gang members ride in on motorcycles, and they try to use them as weapons against Black Adam, except as they tackle him, he smugly launches into the sky. Billy Batson wakes up in the Batmobile with a gag preventing him from being Shazam, but he does see Black Adam, and he knows that he has to get out of there, because he watches as Black Adam throws bolts of lightning down on Harley and her gang. Black Adam lands and picks up the Batmobile, intending to slam Harley with it, but knowing that Billy is trapped inside, she quickly takes it away from him and puts it back down. She looks in the window, telling Billy that she would never let him get smushed, and he bangs on the window trying to get out, only to see Black Adam punch Harley right in the back. With that, Billy finally manages to find the button to open the cockpit, and he runs out, tearing at the gag until it comes off, and then with a quick Shazam, the battlefield is leveled. Put her down, Adam, and don't make me use my angry voice. He grabs Adam by his hair and he throws him into the sky, following it up with a lightning bolt. I never liked it when Superman brought you into the regime, and I know you don't like it either, so maybe we can stop pretending. Adam begins to charge back at Billy, telling him, I was never pretending. I was open about my contempt for you. Back and forth they go, bringing us the fight that was always meant to happen between these two. But back in the Batcave, Batman explains to the alternate universe Justice League why he brought them there. He invented a device that could 100% incapacitate Superman, but he made it so that it needed every Justice League member to open it up and approve it. Once that's revealed, they place their hands onto the device, and it begins to open. Back on the streets, Harley's gang begins to pick her up, and they begin to try and make a break for it because Adam and Shazam are tearing up the streets, when finally, Shazam wins out. Harley runs over to thank him with hearts in her eyes. Shaz looks at the idiots in hoods, as he puts it, and he tells them to get away now because the regime forces are en route. He then picks up Harley and he takes off. We need to talk. Harley is super happy that Shazam has switched sides to join her, and she asks him if it's too early to propose to him. He takes her to a field where he informs her, "I like you a lot, but I'm not switching sides. I saved you for a lot of reasons, but mostly for saving Billy from getting smashed. I don't see how you can go back to working for Superman. I don't work for him, we're teammates. That means you're guilty as well. You're no killer. I stay because he needs someone to keep him in check, Harley. You say I'm good, and that's the reason I'm not switching sides." She kissed him on the cheek, and he begins to hover away. "Try not to die, Harley. I like knowing that you're out there. You too, Shazam. This world needs some heroes." Meanwhile, back at the Batcave, Wonder Woman picked up Adam and brought him with her, and as they arrived, they wanted to know what Batman was planning to do with that little device. When we last left off, Harley had just left the Batcave and talked things out with Shazam after Shazam had defeated Black Adam. Shazam told her that her being out there was something that he liked about everything, and he flew off. Black Adam arrived in the Batcave with Diana because they got reports that Bruce was there with these goody two-shoes doppelgangers. He brought them here so that he could use their DNA to unlock his device that would allow him to defeat Superman. The fight was intense, and even though Batman and the Good Justice League won, the device was damaged. They were going to need a new plan. Meanwhile, the Justice League of the Good Universe had been trying to patch into the Injustice universe, and Cyborg falls through the wormhole, ending up in front of Deathstroke and Lex Luthor. In the Injustice universe, these two are both good guys, except Cyborg doesn't know that. Elsewhere, Harley heard Bruce is fighting against the regime in the Batcave, and she returned to help, except she arrived too late. So instead, she stole a Batmobile and tied the giant penny to it, dragging it around Gotham as she returned to get her new friends, and try to figure out a new plan. Bruce didn't want her involved in his master plan. He was worried that she would mess it up. So her gang convinces her that they don't really need permission. They can go look for regime members and just beat them up. This leads to all of them hopping into the Batmobile and driving off to find trouble. Back with Cyborg, his fight against Deathstroke and Lex is stopped by Bruce in the Good Universe Justice League as they explain what's going on. And back with Clark himself, he rockets into the Batcave to see what Bruce took, which is when he finds shards of kryptonite. So he decides to put out a call to all of the world's networks. At 6 p.m. local time, Batman will be executed on Stryker's Island because Clark captured the Good Universe's Batman a while ago in this story, and he knows that his Bruce will come out of hiding and not let this imposter take his place. Everyone decides that they need to head to Stryker's Island and take the fight to Clark, but Harley, she decided that she was going to go kill the Joker. The regime kidnapped the Joker, but she figured during the world news broadcast about Batman being murdered, she could probably slip in. Luckily, as she entered, it was when Cyborg was battling against Vic for control of the boom tubes and teleporting technology, so Harley walked right past the guards and right into the regime soldiers there to help Vic. She began to beat them down, being much better trained than them, even going as far as to grabbing one by the ankle and using him as a weapon, spinning him around, hitting the other guards. Elsewhere in the attack, the Flash runs up on Deathstroke working against the regime, but he's dropped by an explosion, and then Deathstroke walks over to join Cyborg and altering the teleporter. Harley is teleported into the Joker's jail cell where she finds him, and she pulls her gun on him ready to shoot him in the head. But that's when Bats calls her up, telling her that the battle for Stryker Island is underway, and he needs her to occupy any law enforcement agencies that she can. Keep them busy. Joker sees his girl answering to Batman and wants to know if she's going to be getting his dry cleaning too. She tries to be strong and tell him to shut up. She's helping, but the Joker's silver tongue begins to work its magic on the girl. He tells her that she's Batman's errand girl. He locked her out, and he tells her that the moment that Batman wins his fight, he'll lock her up. Her gun slowly begins to lower, and he continues to work her over mentally. If I'm gonna be king, I'm gonna need a queen. Interested in the job? And then with a hopeful look, she asks him, "You swear, Puddin'?" So while the insurgency was busy fighting against the regime to rescue Batman, Harley let the Joker out of his cell. While this is going on, Deathstroke teleported to the heart of their mission, to acquire Lex's ultimate weapon, one that can destroy Superman once and for all. But as Deathstroke sent the blueprints to Lex in the distraction of the war on Stryker Island, he and Lex knew that he wouldn't be returning from there. And Harley followed the Joker back to the street side as her phone began to go off again. The war on Stryker's Island was in full effect. As Aquaman brought his troops to the shore, the regime prepared for an assault, and Harley was making the worst mistake that she possibly could, and she continued to make the situation with the Joker even more atrocious. She filled him in on the Joker gang, the people wearing his face, and she filled him in on Dr. Fate's base of operations. Meanwhile, the battle continued to rage on with Bruce versus his son Damian, and Aquaman and Green Lantern versus Clark. As Joker and Harley enter the Tower of Fate, Zatanna knocks out Joker right away, asking Harley what she was thinking bringing him here. Joker gets back up, grabbing Zatanna, but Dr. Fate arrives and puts an end to it by freezing the Joker in place. With the Joker locked up, Harley asks to speak to Dr. Fate alone, and he tells her that he knows what she is thinking, and he will not kill the Joker for her. She tries to ask another question, but again he answers before she can speak. You two are tethered across dimensions, time, and even fate. You will be bonded forever until you say the magic word. No. That's it? Goodbye, Miss Quinzel. I wish you luck, but I am not Dr. Luck. And with that, he ejects them from the Tower of Fate. Back on Stryker's Island, Bruce and Green Arrow manage to find Batman and begin to bring him out, but Green Arrow suddenly begins to fire arrows at them because Raven is now controlling him. Bruce walks forward, battling against Green Arrow, dodging the arrows and catching them until Raven shows herself in front of him. Luckily, they manage to get Batman free, so as he gets out, he drops Raven, and all three of them begin to make their way out of the base. Harley and Joker get thrown out of the Tower of Fate, and they land right back in the bar with the Joker gang, where Joker sees his moment to shine, and Harley sits at the bar unable to stand against him. He stands tall, rallying the troops, telling them that their plans are the best. Mayhem, destruction, looting, all of these things is what we should be doing. The regime stopped us because we have the best ideas. And while a good chunk of the Joker gang tells him that the ideas such as blowing up the moon and conquering the city are great, Harley's friends step forward and suggest one thing. How about the Joker leaves and takes his plans with him? Harley is the boss. Joker isn't too happy with that reply though. Democracy's over, Mouthy. This isn't the Harley gang. The Joker jumps down and begins to hit Harley's friends over and over, punches, kicks, and elbows. But while Harley can take all of the mental beating for herself, there's one thing that she can't stand for, and that's the Joker hurting her friends. As the Joker raises a knife to stab her friend, she reaches her hand out to grab him and tell him the magical word. Well, close to it. Please don't do that, Mr. J. She has to take baby steps. Over at the assault on Stryker's Island, as Batman, Bruce, and Green Arrow make it to the exit, Superman stands before them, ready to end this right then and there. Back with the Joker, he turns around surprised and asks, "What?" And she tells him, "I said not to hurt my friends." And with that, she backhands him, throwing him away. She then turns to the Joker gang, telling them to run for it. And behind her, the Joker isn't too pleased. But now that her friends have fled, she may have another problem, because the Joker stands before her, not amused with his followers that she has brought to him, backing him up. He asks his followers, "Which of you want to be my new sidekick?" And they all cheer out, wanting to replace Harley. With a smile, he tells them, "Beautiful! We'll form an orderly line according to shoe size." And then he winds up to smack Harley. "I'll be right with you." Meanwhile, over at Stryker's Island, where Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Green Arrow are trying to stage their escape, Clark stands before them with his eyes glowing red. "I perfected this world before so many lives were lost, Bruce, because I held back, when what I should have done is used all of my power." Back in the bar with Joker and Harley, the Joker throws Harley into a wall, lifting her by her throat, and he notices something. Her throat seems firm. "Did you take a green pill?" And with that, she kicks him back. If you're just now joining us, the green pills allow for the average fighter to gain superhuman strength to fight against the likes of the metas, except this just makes Harley more powerful than the Joker. The Joker gang grabs some chains and bats, and they begin to jump in against Harley, except that with her strength, she throws them around, knocking them all out, leaving only her and the Joker. The slight problem is that the Joker got his hands on a pill as well, and he throws Harley through the wall into the alleyway. They walk outside where he lifts a bus over his head and he stares at her. "I'm not mad, Harley, just disappointed," and he drops the bus on her. Back at Stryker Island, Clark is staring down at Bruce. "Crime took my family as well, Clark. Don't you dare, Bruce. You weren't the gun. Goodbye." And Batman, Bruce, and Green Arrow all jump off the side of the island to their certain deaths. Back at the bar, Joker lifts up a sheet showing Harley that while he was throwing her around, he also managed to catch her friends. Just as Batman, Bruce, and Green Arrow are all about to fall on some shark and pony rocks from their jump, Cyborg manages to get the Watchtower's teleporter working, and poof, they vanish. But back with Harley, she looks over at the Joker holding a knife to one of her friends. "I don't want to kill you, Harley. I want to break you." Harley finally breaks down. "You won't hurt them, right? If I just play nice?" "Yes, I actually believe you now, but just let me kill one to be sure." And with a crack of a pipe, it strikes Joker on the back of his head as one of Harley's friends that was injured from earlier has gotten up to stomp him. The Joker turns around and stabs Gary to Harley's horror. Then he takes her by the hand and he drags her outside. There was nothing that she could do. If she had fought against him, she would have lost all of her friends. She had to make sure that Larry, Perry, Terry, Jerry, and Barry were all fine. But while this is happening, Clark has launched himself up to the Watchtower to stop whoever was teleporting everyone. And as he gets close to it, Cyborg set it to explode. As
they drive around the city, Joker brings up that in his dimension, he has a nuke all ready to go. Except here, he doesn't have that. So he needs something big. Big enough to display his destruction. And that's when he sees Lex flying overhead in his giant mech suit. And he shoots him down with a missile. Lex crash lands into a regime vehicle and he gets out telling them, unless you want Superman to succeed, step aside. Harley asks, are you really gonna stop Superman? But Joker stops her. Only speak when spoken to, Harley. Unless you want me to stab another friend. Now go relieve Lex of his suit. So Harley begins opening fire on Lex with her guns, only to have them bounce all off of Lex's shield. She then grabs a sewer manhole cover and throws it at him, but he blocked that as well. Then she jumped in to fight him with fists, only to be bounced back by his shields again. The Joker twirls his knife as she lands next to him and he informs her, you're fired. He then puts the knife to her shoulder and he tells her, don't worry though, there's a generous severance package for you back at the bar. And she finally got the nerve to say it. No. Lex fires a shock over at Joker, telling Harley, you'll thank me later. But she stops him, telling Lex that the Joker is hers. She then proceeded to beat the tar out of the Joker until even Lex told her that she didn't have to kill him. And then she turned to Lex, telling him, get back to stopping Superman, because I'll handle these goons. So she went back to fighting against the Joker's goons, and Lex went back to his fateful meeting with Clark. He called him out, Superman, your time is over. He armed the weapon that Deathstroke brought back to him, and he locked it in on Clark up in the skies. He took aim, and he prepared for Superman's arrival. Harley really didn't know what happened next. Was he unable to fire on a friend? Or maybe his weapon jammed? Either way, Superman landed on top of Lex's suit and tore it open and ended him. While that was going on, Harley returned to the bar where her friends were waiting for her, unaware of what just happened. When we last left off, Superman had murdered Lex Luthor, and that was it. He finally stopped ignoring everyone, and he heard what the world thought of him. He's the one who should die. That's it. They have to do something about him. They can't let him run their lives anymore. How many has he killed? And he screams, no! And he rockets off into the sky. But Harley Quinn didn't even know that this had happened when she left Lex to finish off Superman. Instead, she went to the bar where Joker killed Gary, one of her new friends, her sweet little angel. And since it was the Joker that took him away, Harley decided to show him a little love in the form of a hammer as she beat the Joker up all over again. While she was doing that, her gang got together a little surprise for her. They were tired of being called the Joker Gang after seeing what the Joker was really like. It was time to look the part and become one of Harley's followers, the Harley Horde. Meanwhile, Superman soared over the ocean, calling out to his team, the Regime. Report to me now. As he walks into the room, he tells everyone that he's tired of the whiners and the complainers that side with those criminals. He's going to remind them of who's in charge and flatten Gotham and Metropolis. Then he'll find the Duplicates universe and destroy their world. Teach them a lesson! Out on the streets, the Harley Horde is charging in, teaching their own lesson to the Joker Gang until eventually they're completely removed from the equation, which made Harley think. This Harley Horde could become her own army, and her friends could help her lead it. It's time to get rid of the last of the Joker's gang. Meanwhile, back at the Fortress of Solitude, Shazam brings up the big question. We're wiping out whole cities, invading dimensions? Superman isn't even phased. You have a problem? Well, yeah, it's crazy for one. It's going too far for two. Wonder Woman steps in. Man's world is incapable of self-rule. We must preserve order. No! There has to be limits, especially on us! That's enough. No, it was enough a long time ago. Have you gone nuts? Lois would never. But Superman grabbed him by the throat. Shazam tried to call out his magic world, but Superman froze his mouth over. Then, using his heat vision, he burned into Shazam's eyes until there was nothing left. He murdered Shazam. He then turned to the group and asked them, anyone else? Good. We're gonna show this planet who's in charge. Meanwhile, back with the Harley Horde, they managed to defeat every member of the Joker Gang, and now they wondered, what do they do next? Back in the fortress, Solomon Grundy picked up the body of Shazam once everyone had left. Then he went to Barry and Hal. Grundy dig hole, Grundy Barry. Hal turns his back. Casualty of war. Acceptable loss. But Barry isn't about to have this. Acceptable loss? Superman just killed a child. I'm done. He gives off a Speed Force clap and he runs out of the room. He ran the entire planet looking for the insurgency. He had to find Batman. And eventually he ran into the insurgency headquarters where he was shocked to find Green Arrow still alive. After a little explanation and a little fight, they all agree to hear the Flash out. He explains that Superman has finally lost it. He plans to destroy Gotham and Metropolis and then go over to the other Justice League's world. They all decide that they need to come up with a plan when the walls crumble. And there sits Hal Jordan and the crew of the Regime. They place a tracker into Flash's mask. Meanwhile, Harley and her horde say goodbye to Gary. But as she's thinking quietly about the loss of another friend,
Ivy arrives to talk things out with her, and she showed Ivy the bloody mess that is the Joker tied to a wall. Ivy tries to convince her to run away with her, but Harley says that she has to finish this, and once they're done, they're gonna take a long vacation. So they kiss each other goodbye, and Harley gets the gang ready to roll, popping out her bag of green pills to amp them up and get them ready to save the world. Around the world, the final battle begins with our insurgency fighting the regime for the final stand, to stop Superman from ending everything. Harley has joined the fight with an army of her own, finally free of the Joker himself, and to top it all off, Wonder Woman has gone to battle against Diana for control of the Amazons, because she is not going to stand by and let Superman control the Amazonian army. The Amazons will not enable man's aggressions. While she battled it out with her own doppelganger, Harley's crew broke into LexCorp, where she grabbed any devices that they could get. They rode into the battles on hover bikes. Meanwhile, Arthur Curry had his underwater troops and a pet wall of water under his command, ready to attack the insurgency and take control of the cities, while the regime was battling the good Justice League all over the place, and Wonder Woman was defeating her own doppelganger, leaving Batman with Bruce to make the ultimate decision. Back with Harley, they rode in to catch the cars falling into the water as Clark was beginning to destroy the cities. As they rode around catching the people that fell out of the buildings that Doomsday destroyed, she began to realize some people are just born to be heroes, and some are born to be leaders. And it doesn't matter what dimension you're in, they need to step up. As Wonder Woman defeated Diana and took control of the Amazons, Batman told Bruce that they need their big gun. They need Superman to take out Clark. And with that, he arrives. Hello, Bruce. Let's get started. Now, you may not know this, but Harley's been telling this story to someone else this whole time. And as she stood up there and put a leg on the back of a chair, she explained that this was when she became a superhero. She was the one to round up all of the survivors in this epic final battle and bring them to safety. But back in that fight, it was time for it to come to a close, and if you played the video game, you know what's coming. As Superman arrives on the scene, I suggest you all go home now. He froze Black Adam in place and removed Sinestro and Hal Jordan's yellow rings, handing them to the Green Lantern. Superman then stood ready to face off against the army of Atlantis, with Wonder Woman leading the Amazons in to crush them. That was the moment that things began to take a turn as Doomsday tackled Superman into the ground, and Harley saw it happen, so she rocketed off to see if she can help him. As Doomsday began to pummel Superman, Harley popped a dozen green pills, and she bounded in as a happy superhero, slamming Doomsday off of Superman. He looked up. Harley Quinn? Did you just knock out Doomsday? And save your life? Yeah, I did, no biggie. This place is confusing. You know you're evil where I come from. Used to be evil here too, Joker and everything. Then I joined the insurgency and started an army. Superman begins to rub his neck confused. You became good? You? And she tells him, you might want to turn around. He smirks. Not yet. I don't want to ruin the surprise. Doomsday jumps in ready to fight again, and right then, Superman turned around, slamming Doomsday and grabbing him. He begins to hover off the ground. Thanks again, Harley. You've given me hope for this world. And then he launched into orbit with Doomsday. They both went back and forth, with Superman blasting Doomsday with his heat vision, and then he dragged him and threw him into the Phantom Zone. And then, the moment that we've all been waiting for arrives, as Superman hears a voice behind him that sounds familiar. I knew they'd bring you in eventually. You don't belong here. I'm this world's savior, not you. We're not gods. We don't decide who lives and dies. Yet after I've killed you, I'm gonna go find Lois and bring her here and save her. When she sees how I perfected this world. But Superman stops him. She'll be disgusted. Superman eyes Clark, the good and true Superman meeting the turned evil rule the world Superman. And as Superman tries to talk him down, Clark throws him into the floor. Superman grabs him by the foot, lifting him back up, and then he punches him into the ceiling. Clark returns with a chunk of the fortress, but Superman uses his heat vision to destroy it. And then Clark counters with his own heat vision, trying to bury Superman into the Fortress of Solitude. He looked down, assuming that he'd won, only to have Superman rise again and punch him before grabbing his cape and twirling him into the arena. Meanwhile, Harley had one more thing to do, and she cut the Joker down before cracking her knuckles. I need closure. Back with Superman, the heat vision goes back and forth, and Superman begins to rapid punch Clark into a wall. He tries to tell him, fear is the only thing that these people understand. And Superman tells him, not anymore. He then spits up his own blood as he tells the insurgency of Bruce, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Superman that they have to kill him. But Bruce sucker punches him, ending this. And thus, injustice truly ended not with an explosion or a world-ending event, but a sucker punch from Batman. The Justice League stayed and helped put things right, such as bringing Hal and Sinestro to the Guardians to answer for their crimes, and Wonder Woman helped bring Diana to answer for her crimes against the Amazons. With that, Superman and Batman said their farewells to Bruce as Clark was placed into a Red Sun prison to dull his powers. But what of Harley and Joker? Well, her closure was beating him so badly that he literally crawled back to Batman begging to go home. And who has Harley been telling this whole story to? Why, herself, of course. She went to the good Justice League's world to try and talk some sense into herself. to teach herself how to become a superhero. And what did she say? Well, she kind of ignored the whole thing and said that she was excited for her and Mr. J's new plan involving a nuke. Harley Quinn took it and broke the controller, telling her that that wasn't going to happen today. Harley knew that she could never convince herself. It was going to take something else to turn this Harley into a hero, but she can at least teach her how to make an army of her very own.
And there you have it. Not quite as long as some of our other videos, but still relatively long considering the normal length of our videos. What do you guys think of it? I thought Ground Zero was a pretty interesting story myself. Not the greatest storyline, but it did a good job of giving us a in-comic book explanation for the events that happened in the video game itself. Don't forget to stick around and subscribe to our channel because we're coming out with videos for Injustice 2 every, I'd say about third week. We really have no schedule. We're really bad about keeping to that. It was supposed to be like every other week and we never seem to do it. And don't forget, if you want to get our videos nice and early or you want to support us directly, like get things such as behind the scenes, blooper reels, or even some unique podcasts you can't get anywhere else, then go on over to our Patreon to support everything that we're doing. And for only $1, you get access to all of our extra content. Hope to see you over there, and I'll see you next time right here at Injustice!